One of the greatest problems in the scholarly literature on pathological narcissism is the misuse of the labels grandiose and vulnerable. I'm saying misuse because the way these words are used in the literature is highly misleading, gives the wrong impression, and misrepresents the internal psychology and psychodynamics of pathological narcissism. Inevitably, of course, there's a spillover from scholarly literature to the online sphere. So the classical narcissist, the overt narcissist, is often described as grandiose, whereas the covert, fragile, vulnerable narcissist is often described as fragile and vulnerable. What's wrong with this? Everything. Both the overt and the covert narcissists are grandiose. There is no narcissism, there's no pathological narcissism without grandiosity, devoid of grandiosity, divorced from grandiosity. Grandiosity is the cognitive distortion and the impaired reality testing that underlie pathological narcissism. There's no survival for the narcissist without the contortion and distortion of reality via grandiosity. So both overt and covert narcissists are grandiose. The grandiosity manifests and is expressed differently in both cases. The overt narcissist is grandiose in one way, more extroverted, more self-confident, exudes charisma and magnetism and so on and so forth, whereas the covert narcissist is grandiose in a passive-aggressive, resentful, envious, hateful way. But both of them believe that they are the reification and reincarnation of God on earth. So, when the scholarly literature makes a distinction between grandiose narcissist and vulnerable narcissist, that's patently wrong. They are both grandiose. What about the covert narcissist? When the literature, the scholarly literature this time, labels the covert narcissist vulnerable, they imply that overt narcissists are not vulnerable, which is completely untrue. Pathological narcissism is a compensatory mechanism. It compensates for vulnerability, compensates for an innate shame or a sense of shame and self-rejection. The narcissist puts up a facade of, look at me, I'm godlike, I'm a perfect entity, I'm brilliant, I'm amazing, I'm unprecedented, I'm cosmically significant, etc., etc., precisely because he doesn't believe internally, does not believe any of this. This lack of self-esteem, known as low implicit self-esteem, this lack of self-esteem, which is sometimes unconscious, gives rise to behaviors which are known as self-enhancement, self-enhancing behaviors. The totality of pathological narcissism is a compensation for a innate sense of inferiority, a rejection of who one is. The narcissist rejects himself. He does not like who he is. And so he invents someone else, he invents something else, he invents a false self and identifies with it. So to say that there is a vulnerable narcissist and a non-vulnerable narcissist is completely untrue. All narcissists are grandiose and all narcissists are vulnerable. We cannot make a distinction between two groups of narcissists based on grandiosity because they're all grandiose. And we cannot make a distinction, a differential diagnosis between two groups of narcissists based on vulnerability because they're all vulnerable. The correct terms should be overt narcissist and covert narcissist. A narcissist who is ostentatiously narcissistic and a narcissist who is hiding his or her narcissism in a variety of ways, under a pro-social facade or pseudo-humility or what have you. In both cases, there is pronounced grandiosity that covers up for bottomless vulnerability. So this distinction, these labels used in scholarly literature are exceedingly misleading, ignorant, and misrepresent the psychological and psychodynamic landscape of the pathological narcissism. Even worse, all narcissists are sometimes overt and sometimes covert. It is not true that there are two types of narcissists. Completely untrue. A narcissist who undergoes severe narcissistic injury, narcissistic mortification, and so on and so forth, is very likely to become covert. Given the right circumstances and environments and people, and a covert narcissist may blossom up and become overt. Overt and covert are states, states of mind, states of being, psychopathological states of the same person. Pathological narcissism sometimes manifests as overt, sometimes expresses itself as covert, depending on many external factors and quite a few internal ones. The most important determinant of whether the narcissist becomes overt or covert is the availability of uninterrupted narcissistic supply. When such supply is lacking or uncertain, it's a state of collapse. And collapse is the bridge upon which the narcissist crosses from an overt state to a covert state and back. So the collapse mediates the transition from overt to covert, and the recovery from collapse mediates the transition from covert to overt. All narcissists are both at different times in their lives. Why this common mistake? Even in the scholarly literature, the assumption that there are two types of narcissists which are mutually exclusive, because clinicians, therapists, psychiatrists come across covert narcissists almost exclusively, whereas theoreticians and scholars and professors of psychology come across overt narcissists almost exclusively. So this miscommunication between clinicians and theoreticians, between therapists and scholars, between psychiatrists and professors, this miscommunication, this abyss, this gulf, this mutual contempt, to be honest, this is what gave rise to the erroneous clinical picture of overt narcissist as a pure type and covert narcissist as a pure type. They don't exist. Every narcissist is sometimes overt, sometimes covert. All narcissists are grandiose. All narcissists are vulnerable. End of story. Next time you come across these terms online from self-styled experts and of course in scholarly literature, remember what I've just said. This is a huge misunderstanding which has led to the emergence of extremely misleading counterfactual terminology. Yes, even scholarly literature can be wrong, and sometimes wrong for decades. Another problem is that many scholars seek the limelight. They want their 15 minutes of fame. So they come up with all kinds of phrases and so on which guarantee exposure in the media. The field is highly contaminated with money, with celebrity, and so on, even in academia, even among scholars. Just look around you and you will see what I mean. Be careful. It's a minefield.